Hello, my name's Sue Glover and I'm the Careers Advisor here at St Joseph's School in Salisbury. And just really so that you're aware, I come into St Joseph's every Monday and every Tuesday. So I'm known as an independent and impartial Careers Advisor. Today, what I wanted to do was to run through with you all the World of Work programme that we offer here at St Joseph's, and it's a programme that we are incredibly proud of. So the main reasons for the programme is basically it helps our pupils to really develop themselves through careers employability and enterprise education. It also teaches our pupils about learning about careers and the world of work, and also it helps develop career management, employability and enterprise skills. So really valuable skills that will support our pupils well into the future. And during our World of Work programme, we really want our pupils to experience the process of what it's like to look for and apply for a job, to be able to recognise their skills and their qualities and to use research skills so that we can actually equip them today for the career choices of tomorrow. During this presentation, we're going to look at what the World of Work programme is. We're going to find out why work experience is so important, and also what you, your son and your daughter need to do next regarding finding that work experience placement. And although this work experience placement happens right at the end of our programme, it's something that you really need to be trying to find now. So our programme launches on the 3rd of March, and this is delivered through a PSHE lesson through Teams. So it's a virtual delivery. And during this workshop, our pupils will begin to learn about themselves, what skills and what qualities they have. They're also going to learn how to communicate effectively, how important first impressions are and that they really count. They're going to learn about interview techniques, understanding good and bad techniques, and hopefully practicing more on the good ones. And then we're also going to look at virtual interviews. Due to COVID, I think so many more interviews are being done virtually, and we need to prepare our pupils for that form of interview. And we hope really to equip them with all the skills that they're going to need to really shine at interview. Also, during March, after the first interview preparation workshop, and before the CV workshop that they're going to do, we get all of our pupils to choose a job profile. And these are advertised through our own company called Going Places. Your children will be signposted to this site nearer the time. And there is a really good variety of job vacancies actually on that site, but I have to say there may not be the exact job that your son and daughter might be looking for, but try and find a near enough match. Really, this programme is more about the process of researching, looking and applying for a job, preparing a CV, preparing a covering letter, and also going through that interview process. And that's what the value is of the whole programme. Then on the 31st of March, local employers are going to come in and they're going to help your son and or daughter to actually prepare their own CV. So these need to be completed during the session, and whatever state they're handed to us in at the end of that session is what will be sent to the interviewer, who is generally going to be a local employer. So here we really try and re-emphasise the support that you can give in letting your children know how much first impressions really do count, and that the interviewer will be forming an opinion about that young person way before the interview process. Their covering letters are going to be completed during their English lessons because we're really keen here to show pupils how we link careers into the curriculum. Then on the 26th of April, they'll have a one-to-one interview with a local employer. So the interviewer, as I've mentioned before, will be given their completed CV and covering letter prior to their interview. And in previous years, I have to say that pupils have really enjoyed this day. And I appreciate it can be really nerve-wracking. And I know some of them come in sort of feeling extremely nervous, but they do gain so much from the experience. And the feedback we receive, not only from the pupils, but from the employers, really makes it such a positive and valuable day. And, you know, it's really good preparation for jobs and college interviews, sixth form interviews, apprenticeship interviews, and looking ahead to the future, university interviews too. In the past, pupils have dressed up for the day. They've really enjoyed doing that, but there is no requirement for this. School uniform is really as equally acceptable. Here we have some of the interview booths that where the interviews actually take place, and this often just happens in the main hall here at St Joseph's. One of the things that we've really had to source during 2021 has been virtual work experience. Last year, our pupils were unable to go out and experience work in the workplace. But companies like SpringPod and Speakers for Schools do provide access to professional virtual work experience sessions. Details of both of these companies are normally sent out through school comms, via form tutors and on Teams, but there are also links to these organisations on our careers portal, and I'll tell you more about that a bit later. But again, if anybody wants to access virtual work experience, they're unsure how to do that, then please come and chat to the careers team. These opportunities, however, must be completed in the pupil's own time. But looking ahead, these types of opportunities really enhance applications for apprenticeships, to sixth forms, to colleges, for Saturday jobs and university. Our work experience week ends our programme, and this takes place between the 27th of June and the 1st of July, and we really encourage every pupil to go out and find a placement. So why do we encourage our pupils to do work experience? Well, there's a number of advantages, and these are some of them. So it really gives your children an insight into the skills needed for a particular job. It's an opportunity to test out if a job is really the job that they think it is. It's also can give them a much broader knowledge of jobs that they may never have considered before. It's going to increase their awareness of their own skills and their own strengths. It's going to help them understand how subjects that they're studying in school link to certain jobs. It gives them an insight into what the world of work is really like and what employers' expectations are. It can increase their motivation in school. It can also put them in contact with potential employers, give them really useful experience for their CV and provide references. And it can also help them appreciate the skills that they need to gain in order to succeed in a job. Here are some of the feedback that we've had from local employers about pupils who have been out on placement. And for one young person, there was even the offer of future employment. So, you know, some of these things can really develop into full-time jobs. So, just to talk about the basics really of going out on work experience. So St Joe's is one of the only few schools that actually offers work experience, as we value its importance and the impact that it has on our pupils. There is a charge for work experience, placements of £34, and this amount is what we're charged by CSW Enterprise, which is the company that we use to actually set up the placements. And this is mainly for administration, to cover health and safety checks, and also any additional security checks, so that we know that your children are safe in their placement. And this charge, there is a catchment area, and that's Wiltshire, Gloucestershire, Somerset, Dorset, Devon and Cornwall. If your child goes out of area, and I'm afraid that includes Hampshire, there will be an additional cost of £30. What we don't want to do is that this cost to be a financial barrier preventing any of our pupils from taking up a placement. So if you want to discuss this further, then please contact Mrs. Fenwick in the first instance, as there might be financial support that the school can access. So payment for your children's placement must be made when your son or daughter hands in their pink form, which tells the school who the placement is with, and the payment can be either made online or by cheque when returning that form. So how do you apply? Well, all pupils will be given booklets and the pink form to take home at the end of their World of Work programme session in school. The booklet, which has been produced by Mrs. Fenwick, provides information about your son and or daughter's work experience placement, and it's going to go over what I'm covering now in this presentation, plus the pink form. So the pink form, this, as I've said, needs to be completed once you've found a placement by you, by your son or your daughter, and by the employer where they're doing their placement. So what about finding that placement, finding that employer? Well, I would encourage your children to carefully think about where they would like to do their work experience. Some of you have ideas, and that's fantastic. But if you're stuck and you need some more help, then either arrange to see me through Mrs. Fenwick, but also I'm going to signpost you to some useful websites that can also help you generate ideas. We really encourage you to contact businesses directly, so do some research, find out who does digital marketing locally, cybersecurity, carpentry, engineering, whatever it is that you're wanting to go out and find your placement in. And again, if you're stuck, Mrs. Fenwick also has a database of employers who offer work experience placements. Having said that, most of our pupils in the past have found their own placements by networking through family and friends, and that's been the general consensus with previous year 10s. Just a word of advice to you parents and carers out there. I really encourage you to support and help your son or daughter to find a placement. But please don't do all the work for them. Finding a job is really hard, and they're going to learn about how to do this if they do it independently. And also, employers much prefer your children to contact and approach them directly than by you ringing up to try and source that placement. And finally, think a little bit just outside of the box. Not all plumbers, for example, work independently. There are employers like the NHS or Wiltshire Council that also employ professional tradespeople, electricians, technicians, admin staff, lawyers, etc. So if you've managed to find an employer, what do you need to do next? Well, the pink form, as I keep mentioning, needs to be completed, and that needs to be returned to the school with a payment. And then your child needs to write a formal letter to the head, Mrs. Ridley, asking permission to be released for a week of work experience. And the head will be looking at attendance, behaviour, suitability and maturity of your son or daughter for that week's work experience. So, you know, it's really important that you're showing all of these types of skills during year 10 in order to get permission to be able to go out and do that work experience. And then also we go get CSW Enterprise to do a health and safety check. On the school website, we have a careers portal, and this can be accessed through the curriculum link. So if you just go onto the St Joseph's School website, you'll see there's a link here for curriculum, and sitting within that is our careers portal. I really would suggest that they look at Career Pilot and the quizzes section, and particularly if they haven't got any ideas about where they want to do their work experience placement. There are lots and lots of quizzes that would generate ideas for them by the way that they respond to certain questions. So these can be found within Career Pilot, a variety of different formats. Another quite good one is the Spartan test, and that's found through SACU. Again, this is all mentioned on the Career Pilot website. They could also explore careers that could develop from subject interests or by looking at the job sectors section within Career Pilot. Links for all of these can also be found in the WEX workbooks that your children will be bringing home with them. And also, if they want to book an appointment to see me to try and generate ideas, then I'm really happy to do that. Labour market information, or LMI for short, is also vital for your young people to understand what the local jobs market is, certainly within the area that they're living in. Whether it's be understanding what types of jobs or occupations there are, typical pay rates, qualifications, the types and level of apprenticeships, where young people go when they leave school, and much more is all important information and can better inform them of all the types of skills that they may need and the places where work can be. It's a really good website, and also Career Pilot again gives information on different job areas about where those jobs will be in the future. So if your son or daughter are having problems finding a placement, then please speak to Mrs. Fenwick and she will signpost them in the right direction. So we encourage all of our pupils in the summer term that have managed to book a placement to contact employers, because the person that you may have set that placement up with originally may leave. So it's really vital that you re-establish communication with the organisation that you're going to go and do your placement with. We also encourage pupils to keep a work experience diary so that they can reflect back about what they've learnt over the course of their work experience placement. And also our staff here in school, they will telephone and follow up on placements or go out and do visits. After their placement, we get our pupils to reflect and evaluate about what that placement has been like. So they look at the skills that they've learnt, what they've done, what the role was about. They look at what were the positives of that placement, but also what possibly were the negatives of the role that they went along to. Has it got or will it make any effect on their future plans? What were they good at, what they weren't so good at, and how they've benefited from that placement. And importantly, are they likely to pursue a career still within that area? So just to recap, this is the timeline of events. So in January, your children will be watching this video presentation. On the 3rd of March, we'll be having a virtual interview preparation day delivered by EBP. Also in March, your children get to choose their job vacancy through our Going Places website, which will be explained to them nearer the time. Then on the 31st of March, they'll be going through their interview preparation day, where they'll be producing their CV and also producing a covering letter that will be done through their English language GCSE lessons. On the 26th of April, they'll be going through their mock interview day. And just some deadlines for their work experience placement applications. If they're applying to London, then their forms need to be in by the 4th of April. If they're applying for out of area placements, then forms need to be in by the 9th of May. All other application forms need to be in by the 10th of May. And just to remind you again, the Work Experience Week is between the 27th of June and the 1st of July. So you never know what might happen. So this 15-year-old work experience student from South London was left in charge of Southern Rail's Twitter accounts, and for a feed usually dominated by the complaints of angry commuters, things certainly turned quite surreal for him. So the teenager introduced himself on their social network, and just after 2:30 in the afternoon, within moments, Southern Rail's 161,000 followers were tweeting Eddie questions. Probably a welcome change rather from, I guess, all the complaints that they've been receiving. But I suspect Eddie will go far, and it's an amazing thing to be able to add to a CV to impress future employers. So what about those pupils that don't find a placement? Well, this year they will remain in school and they'll be asked to catch up on English, maths and science. So I'd like to thank all of you for watching this presentation, and I hope that you found it really useful. On our Careers Portal website, there is the opportunity to give us feedback about this presentation, or in fact about anything to do with careers. And just to show you the feedback form, so again, back into our Careers Portal website, and this is the form that you can use to let us know about any questions that you might have. And finally, the contact details for Mrs. Fenwick. This is her email address, and this is also the school's direct line, and they can put you through directly to Mrs. Fenwick if you need to speak to her. So thanks again for listening. I hope that's made everything quite clear to you about our World of Work programme, and I look forward to meeting all of your sons and daughters and going through the process of our programme. Thank you.